the checkered flag for the 1958 Portuguese Grand Prix. The winner, 𝘾𝙤𝙥𝙮𝙧𝙞𝙜𝙝, crosses the finish line 5 minutes, a whole lap ahead of the second-place finisher 𝘾𝙤𝙥𝙥𝙮𝙧𝙞𝙜𝙝. 5 minutes, 12 seconds, and 750 thousandths. Can you believe it? That's right. Only those two were on the same lap. The largest gap in Formula One history between first and second place. And this race, with its own little big story, would contain another, a chivalrous act by 𝘾𝙤𝙥𝙮𝙧𝙞𝙜. And you are, of course, watching Little Big Stories. Every week here on Splash and Go, you already know, a little Formula One story, or maybe not, as long as it's quick, fun to tell, and cool to know. Let's go! This story takes place in another world, practically, a very different era of Formula One, when drivers raced with half their bodies outside the car. Seatbelts weren't even necessary, and as we know, sometimes the helmets were just little leather caps. At most, there was some kind of shell. It was a time of great tracks, spanning many kilometers, like this one in Portugal, the Boa Vista circuit, where 𝘾𝙤𝙥𝙮𝙧𝙞𝙜 won the race with a 5-minute lead. Actually, even more than that. Just to give you an idea, nowadays, in 5 minutes, you could do 3 full laps at the Interlagos circuit with lap times of 1 minute and 10 seconds and still have time for a pit stop. So, welcome to the 1958 Portuguese Grand Prix held at the Boa Vista circuit in Porto. That year, Elvis was dominating with the phrase, "One day I'll show rock." The Cold War was close to heating up. Formula One was entering its 9th full season, and the situation on the grid was very similar to 2007, because that year, just like in 2007, it was the first season after a major figure had left the grid. Juan Manuel Fangio had won his 5th title in '57 and stopped racing full-time in Formula One. Therefore, there was a big fight to see who would be his successor. And the natural candidate was 𝘾𝙤𝙥𝙮𝙧𝙞𝙜, an Englishman who had already finished runner-up 3 times. Little did he know, spoiler from the past, he would be runner-up once again. Moss was the main driver for the English team Van Wall and was fighting for the title that year, point by point, with Ferrari driver 𝘾𝙤𝙥𝙗𝙗𝙗. Englishman versus Englishman in the car, Italy versus England among the constructors. Moss's car embodied the basic English concept of efficiency and lightness, going up against the brute force of the powerful Ferrari and Maserati engines. The track at Boa Vista featured stretches of asphalt, cobblestones, and some spots where drivers had to cross over the city's tram tracks. 7.4 kilometers. And just to show you how fierce the competition was, in qualifying, both drivers set exactly the same time on the stopwatch. 2 minutes, 34.210 seconds. But even back then, the rule that still applies today was in effect. Moss set the time first, so he took pole position. The race began with 3 clear contenders for victory. Moss in the Van Wall, his teammate Stuart Lewis Evans, and Hawthorn alone and facing the two of them with his Ferrari. Moss had to win the race, but that alone wouldn't solve his problem. He needed to count on luck and hope that Hawthorn would have a breakdown. So the solution was to pick up the pace, to play the role of the hare himself, to see if Hawthorn would break down trying to keep up with him. And at that point, Ferrari had the best car, but Moss was having one of those days. And his rival in the race and for the championship, Hawthorn, thinks, "I'm going to save the equipment. I'm not going to fall into that trap, especially since I don't need to." Second place was enough for Hawthorn. Moss picked up the pace and finished 5 minutes and 12 seconds ahead at the checkered flag. But do you think it ended there? Not at all. Because 𝘾𝙤𝙥𝙮𝙧𝙞𝙜's monumental victory would become famous to this day for an act of immense sportsmanship on his part, which brings us to a little bonus story here, one I've already told separately somewhere earlier on the channel, about when a rival in the championship fight went to the control tower to intercede on behalf of the other, who was about to be disqualified. It turns out that Hawthorn, in order to avoid an accident at a certain moment, left the track and was seen by a marshal driving against the flow of traffic, which is strictly forbidden in motorsport. Black flag, but Moss passed by the spot and saw what happened. At the end of the race he asked, "But where's Hawthorn? Wasn't he in second place?" And they said, "He was disqualified." And he replied, "No way, guys. I saw what happened. He was going the wrong way because he went off the track and spun out. He can't lose his result. But by not losing his result, he would keep the title. He would score 7 points, which was enough for Moss to lose. And that was that. Moss's sportsmanship, his sense of fair play, prevailed. And so he intervened on behalf of his rival, losing the championship, his last chance in fact, finishing runner-up for the 4th time, while Hawthorn took the championship for Ferrari. If he had kept quiet, he would have won the title. When asked about it, and he was asked many times throughout his life, Moss always said, "I never regretted what I did." He would not have another real chance to compete for the championship, and his career was cut short by a serious accident that happened to him at Goodwood in 1962, which left him in a coma for a month. But on that day, he achieved the largest winning margin in Formula One history at the checkered flag, 5 minutes and 12 seconds, and still went over to inform the stewards. It's not a reason to disqualify the guy. So that was yet another little big story from Splash and Go on YouTube. I hope you all enjoyed it. Leave a like, it's free, costs nothing, you know that, and it really helps the channel. Want to give me a hug? Want to give us a hug? Don't forget to also leave your hype, and if you can, it helps a lot. Leave a comment. Whatever the case, tell me if you would have done what Moss did, or if a title is a title. If we're competing, we're competing. I just want to win. Zip the lip. As my partner says, I'm not going to say anything. Or just write the city you're watching us from, post a little emoji, whatever you want. The algorithm sees that as engagement and keeps spreading our content across the internet. Likes, hype, and comments are the fuel for any channel. Help us out, it doesn't cost you anything. So you don't miss out on what we do here. We make a lot of content. We have notification channels, Instagram, Telegram, and WhatsApp, where you can join and get an automatic message as soon as each new video goes live. Plus, our social media handles are showing up here where there's content all the time. Instagram, Twitter, Threads, and TikTok. All right? See you over there. See you in the next video. Thanks and a big hug.